fix my hair. Yo, so I said I wasn't gonna record any of this, but I decided to actually record it because I got thinking that maybe it's informational. I don't know. Maybe it shows how something can be done even if I'm not doing it exactly right. So I got some thin sheet metal from the old Menards. I'll use this to repair this and this. I'll probably end up leaving this because I'm gonna punch a hole in this anyway. And then we got this guy. I can't remember if I said I was going to do it or not, but just got some 1/8 plate. What I'll do with this is I'm gonna end up plating in here, plating here, and then I'll put this bar there. If I jack this car up, the shock tower will move back because there's a lot of flex between these areas. So typically people will put a fender brace, it'll tie into these 2 bolts, and then it'll like bolt somewhere in here. And what that does is it gets rid of obviously all this flex, you know, between this tower and here. If I jack the car from there, you can literally watch this shock tower go back. Not really a huge deal, but it's not good, right? It's a race car, you want it to be stiff. Let's get to it. So first what I'll do is marker, right? Plate, it's already there. I'll take a measurement of how high I want it to be, which is, I don't have to do because I got this plate, so it'll just be this high. So now I'll measure this length, and then I'll chop this off, and then I'll bend it to a 90, set it in there, mark out the outline of it, and then I'll clean that area up, and then I'll weld it. And then I'll do the same thing for the shock tower. 5 inches. We'll end up splitting this in half. Maybe I'll do that really quick. I'm gonna bend this perfectly in the middle because I measured 2.5, 2.5, right? So I'll go 2.5 inches, mark it, and then I'll go 5 plus 2.5 is 7, 7.5, and mark it. So I'm gonna put a dotted line here as the bend line. In a perfect, not in a perfect world, but ideally you wouldn't, what I would do is I would mark my 1 5-inch piece and cut it, and then I would go back and measure from that cut line 5 inches again. You'll lose a little material because I'm cutting and cutting, but it's not that serious. So I'll line this back in, go on my bend line. I know that we're looking at about 90 degrees. I'll bend it to 90, and I think I'll have to go a little bit more. Just as I thought, I have to go a little bit over. This one did, this one did fit. So what I'll do now is I'll bend this one up to the same as this. I kind of found a way to make that easy. So I'll show you guys. So I'm at 90. As we know, I have to go a little past 90. But just because, to give you an idea, what I'll do is I'll take this one and I'll set it next to it. And then you can see the difference. Maybe you can't see it in the camera, but there is a difference in angle. So I'll keep going. Sweet. Lunchtime. So as I said, we'll take our piece, Put it in there. Then mark it out. Got all my plates cut, finished my lunch. Now we'll get the welder cranking, tack the plates in, and make the tubes. And then make sure the tubes fit and clear clutch master and the wiper motor, which they should. I pretty much already checked, but it's good to double check before you just go pound and welded plates in, because you're not cutting them out. Now that we got our plate in, I can show you kind of what I did. So it's a little dark, but there you go. So if you look at the lines and you look at the plate, you will see that my line is off, so I will correct that. Same thing with, no, that one's good. So we'll straighten that guy out. We'll straighten that one out a little bit, and then we'll cut this. So we're good in here. We're all in that pocket. The issue now is, you know, you had room for error over here, but now we do not have room for error over here. Not much, at least. So now you can see that, you know, I have my plate down there and this tubing. So what I'll do is I'll take the marker. I'll take the marker from underneath where my finger is, and I'll trace that tube. And then that'll be my cut line. And what I usually do is I'll cut that a little long in case my cut angle is wrong, and then I can grind it to where it needs to be. I'll do that, come back. Day 2, I'm gonna patch the holes, finish up all the patchwork. I'll go through that a little bit, and then I'll end up doing a lot of grinding. I'm not going to film any grinding. I'll probably do grinding and then just come back to this. But basically, I'm going to show how I would go about patching this hole. I've never done any patchwork like that, but we'll see. With this, I just kind of marked what I'm going to cut out, and then I put these X's on places that were a little bit thicker. So thick. I put X's on places where I thought that there was enough material still that I could just weld the hole shut and then grind from there instead of cutting it out and then welding an entire new panel or new piece. I mostly would rather try that because I'm worried that it's going to be hard to make that welded area flat. So like once I weld, for example, right here, this is on a curve, right? Well, once I weld this, I'm gonna have to grind that weld down. So more than likely, I'm gonna have to weld it from the back side as well. And maybe that's the right way to do it. Maybe I should weld it from the back side. I'd have to weld it from both sides. Yeah. So I'm gonna have to find a way to weld this in and then grind it and then be able to make it smooth. Same thing with these. I guess I don't know how else to do it, so it just kind of is. It just kind of is what it is. Can't think of any other way to do that. I mean, you got to weld it shut somehow, right, and then grind it somehow. But it just seems like I'm doing it wrong. I don't know, but I'm doing it, so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna continue on with that. Let's grab some metal and grab a marker, make a template, and cut it out. So basically all I'm doing is, I'm just gonna lay this up to here, and trace it. So that's what we have. I'm gonna go a little wider here, and then obviously because I have this overlay, I'll take that out about 1/4 of an inch so it overlays, following that other line. We'll go cut that out. So we have a piece. Obviously this is curved and not flat, so we'll have to work that curve into here. You can see there's some gaps, but my idea behind that gap is that it'll be easier for me to get a flatter weld, which will make it easier to grind down. Maybe I'm wrong, but I've never done this, so here we are. Well, it's pretty good, I guess. So now that I have a gap, once I get the welder settings right, I should be able to have welds like this where they're a little bit flatter across all the way around it. And then grinding it will be a lot easier. Hopefully that's all the welding I have to do. That boy's patch. I ended up not filling those because it was such a mess. Like as you can see right there and right there, those were 2 rust holes. It was almost impossible. I'm gonna have to put some Bondo in here, so I was just over it. I love when I get tired of doing something and I know I need to do it, but I really don't want to. I'm able to tell myself, well, stop being a girl and just get it done. And I did a lot more today than I wanted to do, so that's cool. So now I'm at a point where, as you might be able to see, so right here it's a little thin. I have to go back in here and just clean all this up. So re-weld, this is a hot spot. Re-weld that little hole. Just kind of do that a little bit. Get underneath, because it's welding gaps, so some wire shot through. Clean all that up. And then I can start sanding everything and then get some Bondo or just filler, whatever it may be. That part is kind of enjoyable to me in the beginning, I guess, just like welding is. This was enjoyable and then now it isn't. But thankfully I'm done with that part and we're moving on to sanding. We're moving on to like paint prep basically. So yeah, we'll do that next. We'll do some body work. All right, paint prep. A few things that you will need, I figured I'd show in case somebody want to go down this road. You don't need a palm sander or orbital sander. As you can see, that doesn't spin in a circle. It orbits around like this. So you'll see a lot of people sand like this. Well, with this, you don't need to do that. It does it for you. So as you can see, we've already started some of that. This is a sandpaper, 400 grit. It's got this sticky backing, so it sticks to this foam pad. And then once we sand everything, we'll go over it with scuff pads. And then any rough area that is bare metal like this, we will try to sand that a little more around that area. Just try to blend that out so that when I go to prime it, or when I go do body filler and I go to prime it, it's kind of spread out and it's not just such a designated area. I did not get Bondo yet, but these are, man, what are they called? Just putties, putty knives, whatever. Once this dries up on here, you can bend them and crack it and get it off and clean them up. So these are lifetime use, at least for me, because I'm not a body guy. So I use those to spread the Bondo in areas like this where it's kind of lumpy. I will, you know, bang, Bondo on there, sand it. I kind of mentioned that I would dolly out that area that we were just looking at. So this hammer and this metal guy, as you can see, one side is flat, one side has a curve. Well, for example, if I want this to be flat and it's not, what you do is you set this on here and then you could see any area that's not even. I already went through and did this a little bit, so you can see it's pretty flat here. This is a low spot and this is a low spot, so that's where the Bondo would fill. But what I can do is I can take that hammer, and you might not be able to pick up on it. It's pretty dark on here, but you take this hammer on the other side and you would tap that while you hold that dolly. So what you're doing is basically sandwiching that material and giving it no other choice but to follow the shape of that dolly. So I've already done that. I've already started to sand. Just waiting for the GoPro to charge. So now what I'll do is I'll time lapse a lot of this sanding. We'll get into sanding these tubs. I'm really hoping to cover this entire engine bay as far as sanding tonight. And then tomorrow I can go through a scuff pad and just scuff it completely. And maybe even put some Bondo on some areas. So that would put me at Wednesday, Thursday. So Thursday I would like to have Bondo on it. Friday I'd like to be sanding it. And then putting primer on it. If I could put primer on this thing on Friday, that means that I could sand it all on Saturday, and then maybe Saturday I get it sealed, Sunday I paint it. This is kind of a lot. This is a lot of work, honestly. If I get any of this done, I'll be amazed. But we'll go for it. A little bit of sanding. Let's get to it. Yo, so today we are going to Luke's to paint the engine bay. I haven't filmed much because, as I said, I was hoping to get the engine bay painted like basically a week ago, and then I realized that I'm running out of time. I freaked out and stopped filming. And just went to work. So probably see it on Instagram if you look at both. But we got all the body work done, we got everything prepped, and then last night took the car to Luke's and got it all taped up. So today we're going to seal it, paint it. I imagine he seems to think it'll be pretty quick, so I think we'll finish everything up today. So we're gonna go with this blue, which, funny enough, I think is the blue I already used on my R7, but I'm not 100% sure. It'd be cool to check. Just so I have that paint at home. It's gonna look so sick. That's gonna look sick. Blue. So this is just the base coat. I knew all along that I wanted to do some sort of flames, and Luke, being paint guy that he is, he had the idea of true fire flames. So he's gonna airbrush that on. I'll let him talk a little bit and he'll explain that process, and then we'll record some of that process. It's pretty cool. I'm excited to show you guys. So this is the first step, right? Like we'll do the yellow and then the candy over it?
Yeah, so we'll go, we're gonna do, this is basically our base layer. So we're gonna start with this, and then we'll shade on top of this to like give it the depth. So we'll go, basically we're choosing regular base coat, and then we'll use candy colors to make it look like it's deep.
So it looks yellow, but it'll end up being like a bright green.
Yeah, it starts off with just yellow. Yellow's a good color for a base for any true fire.
Luckily, like I said, Luke's a painter, and this was his idea, because if you just did like a regular flame job, there's all those angles. So as you tape it, it wouldn't look like a real flame. It would look basically like you did a flame job on a triangle, or not a triangle, like a pyramid or something. Just wouldn't look right. But this will make it look like the car's actually on fire. I'm gonna drive without a hood, dude.
Dude, that would. Don't, if people think you're on fire though, come over here with the fire extinguisher.
I was gonna make that joke. Yellow.
Which starts to come alive, ladies and gentlemen. Here, watch this. Oh, we're doing that. So if you look at like the yellow, and you put like candy green over it, and you really can get it to look deep. So this is our first layer, and then we're gonna do another layer of yellow flames over this. So this is gonna be starting round.
Yeah. So once we do the second layer, it'll pop a lot more, give it a lot more depth. This is a good comparison, side to side. Oh, so now you're kind of doing like the opposite. So Luke's finished up with the flame, so now he's gonna go through and do some highlights. I'll show you guys that. Sick. I'll just show the highlights after. It'll be probably hard to see.
Dude, why don't you guys pay me to do more custom paint? This stuff's fun. Fun. Pay up. Floss your shit out. Let's go. Make some stuff shiny.
So now we gotta do clear and a little bit of flake. And Luke said that once we put some clear over these flames, it'll add a lot more depth. Probably, I assume, like these black spots, those darker spots will pop.
Yeah, the clear's the fun part. Clear, once you get clear on it, it'll bring it to life. Right now it looks kind of flat, but it'll make it look really 3D.
So we got these sections maxed off. We're gonna do some flake over this. A little bit of a hodgepodge of flake, some blue, some gold, and green.
There we go.
Hello?
Hey, what's up, Mike? Get this big mom in the tray.
I'm at the crib right now. I got the whole Ice Age clique with me. You know we gotta go on out here and floss today. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, let's do that.
Shit! Mike Jones. Mike Jones.
I stay flossing in that candy paint, glowing dank, sipping drink on 84 swing, tearing up a lane, yeah. I stay flossing in that candy paint, glowing dank, sipping drink on 84 swing, tearing up a lane, yeah.
Little daddy, you can tell I'm ballin' from the way I'm flossing. 84s, I'm crawling, screens falling as I slide up and down your block with a chain full of rocks and princess cuts in my watch. Mike Jones, high down, a lot of people calling, but back then they left Mike Jones crawling. I'm rising, they falling, cause I stayed up on my grind. Didn't have time to whine, had to put it down. I'm Mike Jones, Mike Jones, Mike Jones, and I'ma stay putting it down to the end. Ripping pins, trying to put a brand new Benz in the wind, cause
I stay flossing in that candy paint, glowing dank, sipping drink on 84 swing, tearing up a lane, yeah. I stay flossing in that candy paint, glowing dank, sipping drink on 84 swing, tearing